Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Lewis?
Here.
Mr. Meyer?
Here.
Mrs. Barra? Ms. Fletcher Mickens? Mr. Abear?
Here.
Mr. Washington? Mrs. Hood?
Here.
Ms. Arso? Here. Mrs. Dugas? Here. Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Before we start, I would like to ask that all the board members have their mics on so that everybody can hear. And also, because of the sensitivity of the topic and the amount of people that are here, that if we could ask to be recognized before speaking out so that no cross-talking is going on, that'd be greatly appreciated. Okay, agenda item, receive Assumption Parish School District reorganizational proposal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before I get started, because we have such a huge interest recently in this topic, I think it's important to kind of go back to the very beginning. Even though we have had many conversations over the last several months about this particular topic, I think it's only right and only fair that we have conversations started from the very beginning. And if you've been in Assumption Parish long enough, you are aware that we've had a lot of conversations around improving outcomes for children. We had conversations around better pay for our teachers, better facilities, so on and so forth. So I want to say early, maybe mid-fall, the school board directed the superintendent, let's look into this matter, let's do an investigation, find out what's going on, let's get some data, and let's see where we are. We did that December 20th, I think it was December 20th board meeting. Over the course of 3 or 4 months, we presented a final draft of that data. And then from there, the board said, superintendent, now let's move forward with possibly looking at a proposal. Hence, that's why we're here today. So over the last several months, my staff and I we've been working extremely hard, identifying some areas in which we need to improve. We went out to the community, we did a community survey, we looked at the various departments, we looked at certifications, so on and so forth, which a lot of that data we're going to present tonight. As a result, I have a proposal for tonight, but before I get deep into the proposal, I think it's important that we discuss how we even came to this conclusion. So we started out looking at census data. We looked at our parish. It said 2010, we had 23,421 community members. 2020, we had 21,039 community members, which is a decrease, around 10%. But what's also glaring in this particular piece of data, children ages 0 to 4 in 2010, they represented 6.3% of our community. In 2021, they only represented 5.1. Those are the kids that are coming into our school system. The proportion of the population that was 65 and older increased from 13.75 in 2010 to 19.9% in 2021. So our population was getting older, but we weren't having, our population was not growing for the younger kids, for ages from 0 to 4. Assumption Parish population increased one time in 11 years. That was in 2010, between 2010 and 2021. Its largest annual population increase was 0.6 between 2012 and 2013. The parish's largest decline was between 2019 and 2020, which was a drop of 4.3%. So on average, between 2010 and 2021, we had a decrease in population by 1.1%. How does that affect us as a school system? So when you look at the school system as far as enrollment is concerned, and we looked at students entering into our school system, and we said, okay, in 2012, 2013, we had 300 students in kindergarten. Well, when you look in 2023, there's only 203. So we have less kids coming into the school system. We also looked at the graduation, the students that are graduated from high school. In 2013, we had 250. In 2023, 178. The number of graduates decreased by 7.2 students over a 10-year period, compared to an average of 9.7 less students enrolling. So it's almost like a double-edged sword. You have less graduating and less enrolling. So you know your numbers are going to constantly decrease. We also, that's just enrollment data and exiting data. We also look at cohort data. So what happens to the kids once they enter into our school system? So the cohort of 2018, those kids, we had 303 students enroll in kindergarten. We had 248 graduate. So that's telling me we're not only losing kids that are coming into the system, but we also, within the system itself, we're losing kids. So the cohort, from the time they enter and the time they exit, over a 12-year period. I added this slide because I wanted to show how our enrollment has declined over a period of time at each school. At the high school, for example, October 2018, this is just 5 years ago, we had 956 students. October 2021, I will count, 798. So you can see that there's a decrease just within the last 5 years in our school system. In our district-wide, you can see we had 3,105 students. October 1 count, 2,611. And this is just a different way of showing it, more of a trend line. So you can see there's a constant decline in enrollment. There's a constant decline in students in our school system. Talk about the reasons. Just most of them just move outside of the district, outside of Louisiana. You have some that moves outside the state, outside the country. You have some that move within the district, home study, private parochial, and others, which is kind of, eye-opening. Really, we have 3.7% that actually need to go to a private school or parochial school. We have 14.6% that's home study. And I think we need to create opportunities for those kids, those families, to still be a part of the school system. Because they're in our parish. We just need to make sure they're still connected to the school system. That's why I'm asking, I will propose having some type of virtual school or virtual programming. So those kids who may have anxiety or those kids having trouble in our school system, they still could be connected. And those parents, those kids can still have an opportunity to participate in extracurricular and co-curricular activities. So we talked about the decline in students. We talked about our parish. Now, what does that mean when it comes to dollar amount? So in 2013, our MFP is the money that we receive from the State Department to educate each child. We had $23,350,658 coming into our school system. In 2022, we had $19,595,784 coming in from the state, which is a decrease of around $3.8 million. But yet, we're required to run the same system with almost $4 million less. So when you think about that, we're trying to run the same system with $4 million less. How can you do that? How you do it is by cutting. What do you cut? You cut personnel. You cut programs. You cut experiences for kids. And this is just a different way of a trend line so you can see there's no new data here. It's just a trend line showing the decline in MFP dollars. And I kind of like alluded to this. These cuts will come from personnel, teachers. Student-teacher ratio goes up because we don't have the funds to support the students that we have in the building. So what that means, teachers have to increase their workload. Also, we cut administrators, we cut support staff. We held off on construction projects, intervention, so on and so forth. We've really, truly had many rifts every year. A lot of people don't know that. But we cut our budget every year, we had many rifts. And it's sad to say, but I got to find $870,000 this year for next year's budget. And I know there's a lot of talk about the $28 million in the bank. Look, I'm not one to send money. I don't want to send back into the schools. So yes, we've accumulated that particular amount of money in the bank, but it doesn't apply to balancing your budget. Balancing your budget is the money that you're coming in to fund your recurring projects. What's in the savings, just like a checking account, what's in your personal account, your savings is for like projects, for different things that you can do for one-time expenditures. It's not for recurring bills. We did a cost analysis, so we looked at each school and we said, how much does it cost to educate each child at each site? And what you notice here, perfect example I'll just use because Bayou Lewis is first, there's no point intended. We have 123 students in Bayou Lewis. The cost to educate those children per child is $10,114. And the list goes on and on. You got BRP at $11,444, LPS $8,432. But the key is here, when you have low enrollment, it costs the district more to educate children. How is that so? Students generate funds, right? So if you're not generating enough funds, but I still have to teach that math class, I still have to have that principal in the building, no matter what, then that drives the cost up as it relates to educating per child. And also a fact here, if you can look at the high school, we have 847 students enrolled at the high school at the time that so February 1 of 2023. That's when we use our funding source for the following year. So our February 1 count that we have this year, that's the next year's budget. So we use the previous year's budget numbers. 847 students were in the high school last year, February 1. Look at the cost to educate each child, $6,397. Extremely low, because you have the students to generate the revenue. Compared to our smaller schools, you do not. And this is just a trend line to show the cost, and you can see what schools fare where. And that shows that high schools cost the least to educate a kid, as high as Belrose Primary, which is the most. So also I looked at it, I said, you know what? Let's look at our teacher workload. That's a big conversation that's happening right now. We have a bunch of teachers in this room today. So I said, let's look at the teacher workload and see how many teachers are teaching how many preps. So when you look at this particular graph, BLP, Belrose Primary, Belrose Middle. Now the high school is a little different because they teach multiple subjects, so it's a little bit different when it comes to the teacher preps. But the schools that have teachers teaching the most preps are the schools with the lowest enrollment. Again, the work is still there. Somebody has to do the work, and that work falls right back on our teachers, it falls right back on our administrators. And you know as well as I know, as you put more and more on the plate, we become less and less effective. I also looked at administrators per site. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the new evaluation program that the State Department is requiring all school districts across the state to do. And I want to also say it's an unfunded mandate. We're not receiving any additional funds to support what's going on in the schools as a result of the mandate coming from the state. But at Bayou Lewis Primary, again, this is no point intended, it's just first. We have one principal. Could you imagine that one principal running an entire school by herself? She has to do the discipline. She has to do the 504 stuff. You know, the list goes on and on and on. Teach evaluation in one person. Now, granted, you only have 123 students, and you probably have the smallest staff in the district. Granted. But again, enrollment drives this as well because we're not putting all the resources in. And I say this, the resources that need to be in the schools so the schools could be successful. And I'll say this, and you hear me say this over and over again. We ran our district from a financial standpoint and not an educational standpoint. And I'm an educator at heart, and I wonder why. I said, how can we be effective? How can we provide what our kids need if we're thinking about it from a financial standpoint? Yes, I am responsible. The board is responsible for ensuring that we report and create a budget that is not deficit spending. We are responsible. We all are. principals are as well, because they have their own budget. But also, I think we attacked this problem, we looked at this problem from a financial standpoint, and not thought about what was best for kids, not what was best for employees. Teacher certification, this has come up. The board has been very supportive in trying to recruit, give me the authority to recruit and put a plan together to recruit and train teachers. We've offered $5,000 to anyone that wanted to work in any one of our hard-to-staff schools. $5,000. We also offer additional support. We've introduced this year a Grow Your Own model. And I'm very proud of Ms. Jessica, Ms. Kathy, and her staff. They're doing a phenomenal job. Also at the high school. So the Grow Your Own model, anybody in Assumption Parish who would like to become a teacher, we want to hire you. We're going to pay for you to go to school. We're going to pay for your certification. And we're going to give you a job. We're also looking at, in addition to our staff, our community members, we've created a rising program, educator rising program. So now we're looking at our high school students, and we're giving them an opportunity. If you want to go in education, we're going to start helping train you and pay for your schooling while you're here in Assumption Parish. So I'm thinking of this as, and I'm going to use this analogy with Nick Saban. He never rebuilds, he reloads every year. So why couldn't Assumption Parish reload? So think about it. If we could get, and this down the line, but if we could get 4 to 5 of our own children graduating from Assumption High, graduating from the university, becoming teachers, that means every year we get 4 or 5 teachers, new teachers coming into the district from Assumption Parish. That's the key. Because those people pay taxes here, they live here, and they're going to raise a family here. So it's important for us to capture as many kids, because what we do, and I always used to fuss and said, school system, we take care of every profession in the world. Well, doctors have to go to school. We here to educate them. Lawyers, we here to educate them. Why don't we look at our own profession and start saying, we're going to make teachers, y'all. Let's make teachers. So that's the Grow Your Own model. We're truly invested in that. I'm super excited about the opportunity, and I look forward to what that action is going to bring in the near future. But I want to point out here, this particular certified teacher's particular grad. And just real quick, we have around 11% of our teacher population that's not certified, around 11%. But when you look at where the hard-to-staff schools, and I'm looking at Belrose Middle and Lavendale Middle right now, they represent over 50% of the total, which I'm sorry, but 21, they represent 50% of the total of non-certified teachers in the parish. Just those 2 schools. Again, we've offered $5,000, $3,000. We even have our teachers recruited. We're going to pay you $3,000, $2,000 as a teacher. You can bring in a teacher. So all of this is in an effort to try to make this number go down and to have more certified teachers teaching our kids. So we went to the community. We said, let's find out what the community thinks or what the community needs in the school. So I'm going to go over some survey here. We have 508 participants that took the survey. 508. Out of 508, we had 55% of the participants were parents or guardians, with students in the school system, around 55%. 27% were school board employees. Quite naturally, because we more than likely be the largest employer in the parish. We probably employ more people who live in the parish than any other company. We have 5% were just community members, 3% were parents or students who are no longer in the system, and then others. Assumption High. So the next question was, who are you most associated with? Which school are you most associated with? So Assumption High was 29%, Pierre Park was 15%, Napoleonville Primary was 12%, Napoleonville Middle School was 10%, Bayou Lewis 7%, Lavendale 7%, Lavendale Middle 7%, Lavendale Primary 6%, Belrose Middle 5%, Belrose Primary 4%, Central Office 3%, and 2%. So we start getting into the question. What are the greatest challenges or issues that the Assumption Parish school system has to address over the next 5 years? The question asks, pick your top five. Number one, 59% of the respondents said recruiting high-quality teachers and administrators. 40% addressing teacher burnout. 36% aging facilities. 34% transportation issues, and number five was teacher autonomy at 33%. The next question, what are the most important skills and abilities students need to know or be able to do to be prepared for a successful future? That was the question. So the top five. 57% of the respondents said basic life skills. 47% proficient in critical thinking and logical thinking. 45% demonstrate successful work-related skills. 41% demonstrate a mature level of self-discipline. 39% proficient in communicating effectively in various situations. That's what we received back from our community. All right, the next question. What evidence do you use to evaluate the quality of education in our school system? Pick your top five. 45%, the degree of teacher/staff turnover. 42%, how administrators deal with issues. 41%, opportunities offered to students beyond the required curriculum. 31%, discipline issues arising at the school level. 31%, welcoming atmosphere upon entering the school. Directly from our parents, obviously, we do have a lot of teachers that took the survey as well. That came directly from the community. What should the financial priorities be for our school system over the next 5 years? 75% of the respondents said increase staff salary and benefits to attract qualified personnel. 71% provide for staffing as needed to provide student support. 71%. 68% provide for maintenance and improvement on our facilities. 51% ensure all safety concerns are met at all campuses. 44% provide funding necessary to reduce current teacher/student ratios. This was a question that was added. It's more about having other options. So the first question is about, should we have an online program for students who may not think or who may not strive in a traditional setting as far as going to school in the classroom, but give them that option for online. So we had around 25% agreed and 19% strongly agreed. So it was kind of almost 50-50, but more people agreed that we need to have that option. Students should have the option to participate in an early college option program. And you can see 62% strongly agree, 27% agree. So that's real heavy there. And I'm proud to say that Ms. Thibodeau is working on this, her and her team, Ms. Kathy, that we want to offer an early college option program. What does that mean? That means kids can go to Assumption High School and earn an associate's degree, which is a transfer degree, transfer associate's degree. You can take that associate's degree free of charge. Matter of fact, on Assumption Parish school system, take that degree and go to a 4-year university, and you're already 2 years in. So you already start off as a sophomore. Better yet, let's tie it to money. That parent, free of charge, associate's degree. Now, if you qualify for Pell Grant or scholarship, you still have 4 more years to use it. So now that kid, not only you graduate from Assumption High with an associate's degree, you can go to college, earn your bachelor's for free, because it's a 4-year Pell Grant and scholarship from mainly 4 years, and also get your master's degree for free. Think about that from a dollar standpoint. Also, question: what specific areas or aspects of the school district you believe need improvement, and how do you think these improvements enhance the educational experience for students and their families? So 54% say, hey, we really need to focus on staff. 47% said, and I think this is kind of teacher heavy here, because a lot of the responses was around autonomy to teach and things like that. No, we don't have autonomy when it comes to curriculum, right, in the classroom. But you have the autonomy of how your activities and things like that develop to increase student engagement, increase student outcomes. You have some flexibility there. 46% said safety, school safety, and discipline. 21% said facilities. 21% said culture and politics. So we know that that's the areas that everyone said, hey, you need to really work on these areas. The evaluation tool. So in addition to looking at student-wide data, school-wide data, we said, okay, what are the initiatives coming from the State Department? And I'm not going to go too much into this, but basically what this is saying, our teachers now have to be evaluated, observed at least 3 times a year. Not only that, the principals, the administrators have to create coaching cycles for each one of those teachers they evaluate. Within that coaching cycle, each principal has to go back in and do other observations while the teacher's on that coaching cycle. So you're almost like, as far as teacher evaluation, observation and evaluation, the workload I want to say is probably increased by 3 times. As they say, we have some principals in here. I see them nodding their heads. But they're actually going through a pilot right now and experiencing some of these. Also, what's important, the State Department, I want to say around last fall, let's say around December, somewhere around there, created a proposal, a new accountability system. So what they said was, look, we want we want to look at high schools and we want to say, okay, y'all have too many bonus points, or y'all we need to straighten our accountability system. So what happened, the proposal, and I think, we knew we have a new governor. The governor's coming in and he's going to revamp education. I mean, it's going to happen. He's coming in. Why? It's an unfunded, unprotected source. But also he has a vision. So with the new proposal, even though it didn't pass, and it only didn't pass by a small majority, now the governor has his own appointees, so on and so forth, I'm anticipating this to pass. With the proposed system, average K-8 schools, SBF score, will decrease by 3.5%. 3.5 points. The average high school will decrease by 16.7 points. And let's just look at our high school. Assumption high right now is, without any changes, we are 92.48. If this proposal passes, Assumption High School will be a 75 C. Now you cannot tell me that our kids are C, but that is an accountability system in which we need to operate. What does that mean? We need to make some change in order to be effective. On top of the change in accountability system, the rigor increases. So last year you could earn an 8 at 90 on the SPS. This year, 95. Next year, you have to be at 100. 100. So the rigor is increasing as well. So, some of our current issues, obviously decline in revenues, facilities need upgrading, renovations, educational resources, we need more mental health support in our schools for our kids, more medical support, teacher support. We centralize, because we've had many risks every year, we've taken the supports out of schools and we try to centralize it at central office. But what happens is, the teacher needs somebody with them every day to go down the hall, knock on the door, hey, can you come see my lesson and tell me how I did? And that person can actually do that. Central office, we're trying to make 2 people, I have 2 instructional coaches. They take care of 9 schools. Previously, you had somebody in the school. Obviously, the cost of educate and certified staff. So let's get into the rationale. We talk about consolidating. I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood the data. Now let's get into the rationale. And basically, when you look at key consideration when it comes to consolidation, educational synergy, obviously, what you're trying to do is just bring environments, bring cultures, bring resources, bring materials and support together. Curriculum enhancements. You're looking at providing a array of opportunities that we currently don't have because we spread so thin. Resource optimization. Bringing schools together will enable us to centralize our focus and we can go into one school and provide those services and support versus 7 to 9 schools. And then in your community engagement, everybody's in that one location supporting that one school. All right, efficient resource allocations. Consolidated schools can lead to a more efficient use of resources, both in terms of personnel and facilities. Curriculum enhancements. When you consolidate, you can offer an array of courses. You can share resources. Not only that, in my proposal, you're going to learn a little bit more about, I want an honors track. You know, I was asked to look into this. I think it's only fair. Why we don't have honors? But in my program that I'm going to propose, we're going to have an honors track. So kids who are honor material, you stay with those same kids, and you get the courses, the teachers, the same throughout. If you qualify, then you have to meet the expectation. But we need to provide those opportunities for those kids. Extracurricular and co-curricular opportunities. Again, you know, we're going to talk about our stadium. You know what? You know, everywhere you go, we see soccer. You go to play all these teams that everybody's soccer. So why can't our kids be exposed to something new, to something different? Not to hurt them, but to help them. We may have a soccer player that's going to go into the MLS. You know, we don't know. But we're not providing opportunities that we need to. Technology integration. And then obviously flexible learning paths. And that's when I talk about the diverse learning. We have kids that are A kids, kids that are high advanced kids. Those kids need to work together and move accordingly. If kids need additional support, we can streamline that and place those kids that need additional support all together, and we can put extra supports there. Flexibility in learning paths. Also, when you look at the teacher side of it, professional development. We can offer streamlined professional development outreach. Because if we have, currently right now, our Belrose Middle, or even not even Belrose Middle, a lot of our schools, we have 1 8th grade math teacher. Just think about it, we have 3 8th grade math teachers. What that conversation is like, when you're able to talk and have conversations about students, because we all teaching the same kids. Integrated lesson plans. We could teach the same lesson on the same day every day of the week because we already collaborated, we already know our students. So you help with planning. Establish PLCs, we can think partners. When I was a principal, I had a school where we had a singer, but I call them singers. The only person in the building to teach that subject. Nobody else. So I was like, you know, all my teachers could go to, you know, the school across town, you know, or you know what, we could log in. But think if you could have all that in the building. And you don't have to go anywhere. And then obviously data-driven discussion. Support services for our students. We talked about school, we talked about staff. Let's talk about our students. Comprehensive services. It could be a central hub where we could have a speech pathologist in that one school servicing all of our kids. We could put extra supports in there for our autistic kids. You know, we could spread those kids out and have more support in that one location. And we could have those conversations among teams and determine what's best for all of our kids. Inclusivity. You know, when you talk about consolidating or bringing everyone together, diverse needs to be met. Now I don't have just one person with this issue or this exceptionality or this disability. I might have 3 or 4. We all can work together in helping those kids. And you're not spread out and you spread so thin. And you put the success of all the kids on the forefront. I also want to look at our pay scale. You know, we really need to look at our pay scale. Yes, we do pay well when it comes to our veteran teachers. Teachers retired from Assumption Parish making more money for the rest of their life than the St. Mary Parish, Terrebonne Parish, and the Bruce Parish. But our problem is on the front end because we're not able to recruit or attract these younger generations who's coming in where our scale is not as strong. So with this consolidation plan, I would like the board to support this if this goes through. I don't know what's going to happen, but allow me to go and hire a company or really look at our pay scale and say, you know what, let's redo it. Let's look at it. Let's investigate where we can improve. Let's improve. Where we are as far as good, let's just keep it there. We don't need to change everything. And you know as well as I know when it comes down to equitable compensation, you know, talk about morale. People really appreciate that. So as an indirect result, you know, you're looking at employee well-being as well. So now, here it is. I'm proposing an Assumption Parish Middle School Academy. After careful review of several different grade level configurations, this is not by chance. This is not by just because we want to do this. This is after consideration. After the board directed me to do so, I started meeting with my staff, my team, and we looked at it. You name a configuration, we looked at it. You name a consolidation, we looked at it. And I know there's a lot of questions around, and we're proposing 6th, 7th, and 8th grade consolidation. 5th grade goes down, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade together. I would love them to be on the same campus by themselves, but we do not have enough room at the corner of the middle to put 6th, 7th, and 8th grade there. Plus, if we move the middle school to the high school, they have an opportunity to earn high school and college credit. It's already there. It's housed there. Also, we've looked at schools in general. You are not benefit from a financial standpoint or a support services standpoint if you just combine 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, and then, well, let's say K through 4, and then 5 through 8. You need to combine grade levels. You need to combine 5th graders with 5th graders, 6th graders with 6th graders, 7th graders with 7th graders. That's where your cost comes in on savings. I do not want to save one penny. I want that money going back into the schools and services and opportunities for children. So, teacher workload. Reduce preparation. So if we could reduce the prep, if you're a teacher in this room and you have 3 or 4 preps, you know how it could be a load on you. But you know, we could possibly reduce, well, we will be able to reduce that if we have more kids. You can talk for a shared lesson plan and more collaboration. Diverse curriculum. You can expand courses. I'm proposing a STEM course. I'm proposing a robotics course. Our kids deserve opportunities that other kids are getting across the state. I'm talking about not just regular kids. I'm talking about programs that are offered in magnet programs. Our kids can compete. We have great kids here. So let's give them an opportunity so they can showcase what they know. Bus routes is another thing that came up, the transportation side. And when you look at transportation, we're dropping off kids in 3 different locations, per se. In all of our communities. So you're going from primary, with a high school, middle school, to primary in our community. This proposal will have us a centralized location, just like we had in the high school. And I was talking to Dr. Crochet, and I was looking at some numbers as far as high school students. We have 250 students who are car riders at the high school. That's almost a third of the population. So when we start talking about kids on the buses, we don't have that many kids riding on the buses going to the high school anyway. Because they're car riders. And think about it. I've seen kids get out of cars, 4 kids get out of cars. I've seen 3 kids get out of cars. In addition to the car riders, we have parent drop-off. I want to say that number was around 60-some kids, 80-some kids. So you're looking at over 300 kids that's not even using our transportation system. So there's room on the buses if it's decided that the best option is to share a bus between, like do a combination route. So you middle and high will share. Primary schools, you have your own route, everybody leaves the high school, middle school, go back to the community and serve the location. And also it's going to save on fuel and time as it relates to buses at this time. School safety. At Napoleonville Middle, the board, which I'm very thankful for, and I think a lot of our school of teachers and administrators, we just approved, we're waiting on those bids to come in, security upgrades. At a high school, there's going to be a single point entry. There's no more walking into our building, just walking in, and you have access to all of our kids. Napoleonville Middle, the same way. We're going to lock those doors, and you have one entry point. For kids to get around, we're going to introduce a backpack, a keyless entry. So now kids can walk in, get into the building, and be able to go to their class. If I do not have one of these during a certain period of time of day, I won't be able to get in. But even at the Porterville Middle, it's very structured in a way, once we lock those doors, those kids don't need to go anywhere except to the gym, you know, every so often throughout the day, or to lunch. Also, when you look at security, SRO is going to be on site. And I think it also, when you look at it from a security standpoint, if all of our teachers and administrators are on the same page, and our kids too, because I remember when I was young, kids used to come, and some of the principals probably know this, kids would come to me, Saddam, so-and-so doing this, Saddam, so if we're all on the same page, that will give us an opportunity to keep our buildings and our facilities safe. Currently, right now, we don't have a middle school band. This is an opportunity for us to create a middle school band. How many kids? I went to each middle school, and I see these kids playing in isolation. And if you had an opportunity to go to the festival that they had, the music festival they had, when we had all the schools playing together, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. If we could start building our band at the middle school level, what that would look like for high school. So that's one of those things that are extracurricular opportunities, middle school band. And I'm not just talking about band, I'm talking about flag girls, I'm talking about pom-poms, I'm talking about everybody being a part of this. Because every kid, in my opinion, should have an opportunity to participate. Mental health. I'm going to propose, in my proposal, a school counselor will be at the middle school, servicing our kids and our parents. So when it's time to start having conversations about college, start having conversations about conflict resolution, we're going to have a middle school counselor at this particular site as well. Your 8th graders are going to have, if your 8th graders at the high school, they're going to have it because we have high school counselors. But also at the middle school, 6th and 7th grade, they have a counselor as well. What's different? Currently, school counselors, we do not have. Proposed, yes. Currently, band, we do not have. Proposed, yes. School nurse, we have part-time nurses. Our nurses are split up there. We could have a full-time nurse there. ISS monitor, hit and miss, because the principals, they work their schedules around to make sure that the ISS rooms are covered, but we can have an ISS person in there every day at this particular site. Currently, right now, we're not really offering true STEM courses. We can offer true STEM courses. Robotics, we do not have. We can offer. We have a principal that obviously have a principal, assistant principal. But when you think about it, some of our schools don't have assistant principal, but this site will. Master teacher, last year, we showed how important it is to put resources back in the school. Last year, I used grant money, and I put master teachers back only at the middle school campuses, all we could afford, into the schools. And I'm proud to say each one of those schools grew. Each one of those schools grew because we put support back into the schools. Social work. Right now we have part-time. We could have a full-time social worker. Athletics. I know that's a big thing as far as competitions right now. It's very simple. You're gonna operate just like you would at the high school. So you have one team, and then you play this around the parish. Just like we have at the high school right now, we have one team, and you play this around the parish. That's for multiple sports. That's not just one sport. Honors. Right now we do not have honors program. My proposal, you will have honors program. Multiple high school course offerings. Really and truly, it's kind of hit and miss. We do offer some online stuff, but if our 8th graders are at the high school, think about this. Your 8th grader, if he or she's at the high school, can actually go into the Algebra 1 class and take Algebra 1. That's a high school credit. English 1, that's a high school credit. Psychology, that's a high school credit. And the more high school credits we can offer to our kids, the more dual enrollment in college credit those kids can have later on in their career. Get the basics out of the way, and then in sophomore, junior, and senior year, you can load them up with dual enrollment, you can load them up with college credit. Social and emotional learning, this is important as well. Currently, right now, we really do not have a strong program. Ms. Thibodeau and her team, and I keep saying Ms. Thibodeau because she's doing a lot of the work on the high school side and a lot dealing with middle schools. She is a middle school supervisor. But we're looking at 2 programs right now. One of them is Captain Kids Heart, Christian-based program, Captain Kids Heart. I had an opportunity to participate in that program, and the second one is Leader in Me. So we're trying to, in this particular school, we want to try to help our kids deal with conflict, help our kids understand how to interact socially with each other. So if we could start early, and when they get to high school, when they go back into your home, when they go back into the community, you can try to provide those skills that they need in order to be successful. Teacher preps, more than 2 preps. Currently right now, we do have teachers have more than 2 preps. But at this particular school, with the current numbers that we have, we won't have teachers having more than 2 preps. Unless it's one of those fun courses like a STEM course or something like that the teachers might want to teach. Also, there's a conversation going on about certified teachers. I can't see my numbers, Darryl, we looked at the numbers in his brain, to play on before we left with some numbers. I can't see teachers losing their job. That's not going to happen. We have 21 vacancies in the subject area. 21. Yes, in all transparency, when you look at outside of teachers, if there is a conflict where you have 2 or 3 people for one job, then yeah, some people may be moved around.
Dr. B, I think we have a large audience not in here. I think they're worried about coming in during the presentation. Would you like me to write it in? Okay. Oh, gosh. Would you like to?
Stop muffing. Come on, we're going to keep going, y'all. So when it comes to personnel, we have openings in our district that will need people. Yeah, my number 1 priority is certified teachers. We definitely have to make sure that all our positions are filled, teacher positions are filled with certified teachers. Yeah. If you're not certified, I do understand, but, getting out of Grow Your Own program, we're going to help you get certified if you want to teach. Transportation, we kind of briefly talked about that. And the last thing is effective teaming. Right now, we're really good. Our teachers are working together in collaboration in PLCs, but it would be nice if they have teachers who teach the same subject as they do. Security right now, that's not on every campus. This particular location will have security starting in August of 2024. Right now, when you look at facilities, that's another question that came up. Right now we have, our buildings are old. Right now we have renovations and things that need to happen, and we've neglected over the years. Why? Because we've cut. We have less facilities to maintain, that means more money for facilities that we are in. Very simple, straightforward. Less facilities to maintain, you have more money for the facilities that you're in. ACT courses. Currently right now, we do not have any ACT prep courses in middle school. Our kids deserve that. My proposal will include ACT courses all the way down to 7th grade. And then obviously the expansion of clubs. Right now we have just a basic minimum club, but we were looking to expand that. At this time, it concludes my presentation. But I want to go over, I do have a list of questions that board members, community members submitted to me, and I want to go over those. Some of them will sound redundant because I've already answered the question, but I just wanted to share this information. Technically, you're closing 2 schools. No matter which way you look at it, PP will still have students in campus utilize the gym. I assume 6 and 7 will be 6 and 7 school. Only schools closing at BRP. Okay, it's about combining grade levels. In other words, this question was more about just combined schools. We're not going to save money and not going to put more resources in our schools if we just combine schools. You have to combine grade levels. You still have to pay utilities. My answer to this, they were saying basically what they're saying is, even though we have these empty buildings, you still have to maintain them, you still have to pay the cost. I said, my response was, the use of the facilities will decrease. even though we have to maintain those buildings, it's still gonna be a cost savings. And Mr. Dow ran the numbers for me, we're looking at saving about $133,000 in energy costs. Not maintenance, just energy. The next question was about staff, and then staff, I kind of answered that question. I can't see teachers being let go as a result of this. I know I'm not gonna propose it. We have openings. Teachers will have jobs. Also, when you look at your top level personnel like principals, assistant principals, if we do this the right way, we could take those principal, assistant principals, put them at other sites, or even right now, I have a staff position over at the district level. So that's opportunity for people to move up and to be a part of not leaving outside of the system, but still being a part of it. Assumption High School cafeteria cannot handle the numbers. That's false, because obviously we've seen our school has had over 1,200 kids in it at the high school. Right now we're down to 797, I think, 798. So we'll be fine there. The cafeteria is not going to be overloaded. The school's not going to be overloaded. We're getting ready to finish up renovations at the 9th grade academy. That's where the 8th grade is going to be. That's another question. The 8th grade will be protected. They will have their own administrator, and they will be completely away from the high school. Only if those kids are taking high school credit, they will go to the high school building in those teacher classes. UPE, obviously those you would have to take at the high school side, on the high school side. Somebody asked about outside area, the daycare. You have all the back of it. If you ever went to the football game, you have that whole back side that's wide open. There you could go outside and play or interact and have any type of activities going on. New sports, obviously we will take care of all the uniforms, anything that our kids would need. I'm pretty sure if this is the proposal that the board accepts, or if there's a new proposal, I'm pretty sure the board we would incur those costs. How would you solve the bus issues? I kind of answered that question a little bit. Basically, we have 3 different locations right now almost in every community that will cut down when we have a centralized location. I talked about, we have over 250 car riders. That does not include their friends and their cousins and family members. And also, we talked about how many parent drop-offs we have, so the buses are not overloaded. Will 8th grade ride the bus with the high school? My proposal includes the 8th grade riding the bus with the high school. How long will it travel? That's kind of like, this is talking about how long will it travel from Bayou Lewis and from Pierre Park. I mean, it all depends. If you have more drivers, think about this. If I have 2 drivers coming from Pierre Park right now, but now I have 4 drivers. So you're gonna you'll cut down on the time a little bit, even though you have to bring the kids here, which is probably like 15 minutes more, but you'll cut down on the time because you have 4 people doing it with 2 people. Practice games, things like that. Tonight, we have on the agenda to improve our athletic facilities. So our kids at the middle school will have access to every single thing at the high school. And I'll say this about the high school, when I look at the students, now I'm going to use our baseball team for example. We have a phenomenal baseball team, phenomenal. Think about if those kids had lights, because they're playing against every other high school that possibly have lights. So those kids have double hitters. Our kids can only play 1 game. Not only that, those kids had opportunity to have tournaments. We can't. So just think how much better our kids would be if they could practice after dark, or they could play games after dark. Same thing goes for the football field, same thing goes for the softball field, same thing goes for the gym. And I'm sorry, I won't be conscious of everybody's time. This new school, what we're proposing is we're looking at spending without any additional support, not the school counselor, not the nurses, so on and so forth, about $700 per student to educate. So you can see when you combine how that number went from 10,000, now it's down to 7,100. Now I'm going to put that money back in, and it's going to drive the cost back up. But now I can put it in with the resources that we all consider our schools need. The freshman academy, those buildings are being completed. Staff members, again, I said, in my opinion, staff members would not lose their job. We have many openings in the district. Normal transportation for sped students, that was a question. Student teacher ratio, think about it, if we get more kids in the building, it drives the student teacher ratio down. Because at our smaller schools, That's what you start having multiple preps. Right now, student-teacher ratio is 26-1. That's across the cap. That's the standard. That's how we staff our schools. 28 million in general fund. You know, only thing I can say about that, again, we ran the district from a financial standpoint, and we looked at costs and savings, in my opinion, over services we need to be providing in schools. You know, but rightfully so. Rightfully so, because we were, y'all remember, 2018 and years before that, we did a RIF because we actually spent more money than we had coming in. So as a result of that, we had to freeze salaries, we had to cut staff. So we don't ever want to go back to that again. But that's why you built up so much money over the years. And that's pretty much it, Mr. President. This concludes my report, and I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, do any board members have any questions?
To piggyback on what the superintendent said about the 28 million or 29 million, but, all the talk going around, in about 2004, I think our fund, balance was like 400,000 when I first came on board. So, when you get that low, you're kind of reluctant to spend money, because we had to cut. And we cut that year to the bone. And some of you remember that. So, you know, our fund balance is what it is because we're very frugal with the money. And we kind of like a rainy day fund. But if anybody's wondering, you're kind of reluctant to spend it. And, you know, we also had good bookkeeping. Okay, so you're reluctant to spend
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, we don't, we're not taking comments, if you have a comment, there's absolutely a way to do it. Mike, can you explain?
Tonight, no action is being taken, okay? So under Louisiana revised statute, there will be no public comment at this particular meeting. If the board decides that they want to take action on any of these recommendations by the superintendent, prior to that meeting, you will have the opportunity to make comments. Thank you.
Let me pick it. This is not to say that we don't want to answer questions. Each and every one of you guys has a board member sitting up here. And it's incumbent on you to call the board member and tell the board member what ideas you have, how this impacts you. The setup of the meeting is not one that it's questions and answers. I wish it could be at this point, because I know everybody, it's a lot to take in. And I think the superintendent laid it out very well. I know from my standpoint, if I'm sitting in that chair, I have a lot of questions. And it's just, this is not the venue. After the meeting, discuss it with your school board member. During the week, discuss it with your school board member. We represent you. Absolutely 100% represent you. I'm not sitting up here saying that I'm going to make a decision based on what I think. We're representatives. So please, don't think that we're shutting down conversation. We're only asking that this is not the venue. It can't be done. It's not. So I apologize if you think that's it. Okay? I think, Ms. Barris, were you still speaking?
Well, I'd like to also thank the superintendent for such a thorough report. There was a lot of information, a lot of time went into that, and his staff as well.
So taking action actually means that it's an item that the board will have to vote on. That's what council was referencing, take no action item tonight. Tonight is only for information only, and we'll be fielding all kind of questions and comments from the general public. So that's what an action item essentially means, that the board gonna take a vote on it. And as of tonight, it's just information item only, guys.
And I will, like I said, I will ask again that take this all in and contact your board member. Don't speculate on what's going on. I know a lot of transparency, everybody's, This is the first time we're hearing this. There's no decisions been made. This is a proposal. We take your consideration, what you want. So please, voice your opinion, but voice it to the people who have the answers, not on the social media where everybody's speculating that some nefarious thing is going on. Does anybody else have anything?
Yeah, I'm just going to piggyback on that too. I love the engagement and everybody being involved. My phone, I'm sure as all of ours, has been ringing off the hook for weeks, but we have actually been talking about this for months. I mean, even all through last year, this was a conversation even in previous superintendents. So my charge to you guys is to be involved at every step of the way. At the national level, with education coming down, state legislature, what they're talking about. If you have kids in school, it sounds, sounds like I'm fussing at you, but you need to be involved, and whoever's watching online as well, in the decisions. We can't just have an uproar right now when everything has come to a head and we have to make a decision to move our district forward. Please be involved at our board meetings. I would love to have 500 phone calls after every meeting and to have to return those calls just because I know people are involved and engaged and want to voice their opinion or provide a suggestion. That's what we're here for. You guys know I post my phone number everywhere. Y'all can call any time to any of us, especially your elected official in your district. What I didn't like to see this week was the shaking heads, wagging fingers with no informed opinion on anything because you didn't have the information. We didn't have the information. So I pray that now that we have the info, that we can deliver that to you in a concise way. You can ask the right questions and we can get you the right answers to move forward. That's the only way we're going to do this. And one thing too, we're not talking about when Dr. B or Rick or anybody said, Mr. Meyer says about saving money. We're not trying to save money. We're trying to reallocate the money that we do have to better resource our kids. And if we focus all of our conversations with which Dr. B does, and we do on every kid in the desk, that's the focus of the conversation. Everything else happens in turn. If every dollar that we spend, every resource that we can allocate to every single child and get what they need, then that's the proposal and plan that we have to go with. And that's all of our focus on this board, from what I understand, speaking to everybody and hearing their opinions. A lot of people had questions about sports, and I told this to Dr. B too. I talked to 3 coaches this week, and one of them was a 2-hour conversation. It was a great conversation. The thing that came out of that was iron sharpens iron. We were talking about football, and how a middle school would operate if all the kids were in one middle school and how we compete. That's kind of I took away from that conversation a whole idea about this restructuring and reorganization, iron sharpens iron. If we pull all of our head coaches from this, this proposal would pull our head coaches to mentor and coach our kids even better. We would take all of our athletes, all of the best athletes we have are together, and that would sharpen the other athletes to move forward in our system. It would make our high school systems better. That's the same way with education, with the honors programs. Iron sharpens iron. And that's how we kind of need to look at everything moving forward is, let's put our best foot in the best place with the best amount of resources and allocations of those resources and funding to make us successful moving forward. We have to make the decisions in the reality that we are in right now and not a 20-year ago, 30-year ago nostalgic reality. We have to operate in the reality that we're in right now with the funding we receive from state dollars, the funding we receive from our tax base, which we have, zero to no industry for our tax base. Our property tax values have gone up, assessments have gone up. It is not advantageous for younger people to own property in the parish in certain places because of that. So we have to look at the reality of the funding sources that we have to put those resources in the right spot too. Okay. I think I'll shut up now.
Mr. President, I motion that we adjourn the committee meeting.
Motion to adjourn. Before we adjourn, again, let's just reiterate, speak to your board member, please. Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Right.
Meeting adjourned. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, excuse me, Ms. Dot?
Anybody's gonna be staying for the regular meeting, please stay seated. If anybody's gonna be departing, now's the time so we can get started on the regular agenda. We got about 2 minutes.
I could put it on. Yeah, yeah.